This is a bridge of friendship connecting Eastern and Western civilizations. 2 millennia ago, the Silk Road started from Chang'an, the capital of the Han Dynasty, crossed the He Corridor, passed through Central and West Asia, and reached the Mediterranean countries. It promoted harmony among nations. It was the Silk Road that spread the aspirations of the Chinese nation, blossoming into splendor. Clouds fade quickly, fragile as glass. From the late Eastern Han to the more than 300 years of the Sui dynasty, continual conflict in the north interrupted the overland Silk Road. People then turned their eyes to the vast ocean. The rolling waves symbolized the expansive spirit of the nation. Looking down from high above. In the economically dynamic Pearl River Delta, the Guangzhou Maritime route seems to be drawn to shape the world. This longest maritime trade route in the world at the time wove Lingnan's vitality and the immense wealth of the Chinese nation into the history across the globe, imprinting the maritime Silk Road onto the map of friendship of the Chinese nation. The greatness of a river lies in its flow to the ocean, connecting the world. In the exploration of openness and global engagement by the Chinese people, the Pearl River undertakes a great historical mission. The Pearl River Delta, the pivotal hub of China's foreign trade, has kept the lights of commerce burning since Qin and Han. It remains a world-class marketplace where merchants from all nations vie for anchorage. Through the long corridor of history, we can still feel her magical charm. This maritime route sails into our spiritual world with its shimmering waves, showing us the vast vision and cultural growth of a nation. After millennia of slumber, it awoke, stunning the world. In the early 1970s, a discovery at a tomb in the eastern suburbs of Changsha, Hunan, opened new horizons for human civilization. The Mawangdui Han tombs. The preserved body of Lady Xin Jue and numerous artifacts revived the historical glory of an empire. Among over 3,000 relics unearthed from the Mawangdui tombs, a slightly damaged map was an astonishing discovery. This topographic map, unearthed from tomb number 3, was created in 168 BC, the 12th year of Emperor Wen of Han. With the confident stance of facing south as the sovereign, it took a south-up, north-down orientation. At the top, it depicts the Bay Area at the Pearl River estuary. This is the earliest extant map to feature a bay and coastlines in China. From Han to Yuan, few maps survived in the world, and even fewer involved the sea. The Mawangdui map, though limited in scope, offers a glimpse of how ancient people viewed the sea over 2,000 years ago. Although China is a nation of agrarian civilization, maritime consciousness sprouted early, in the minds of the ancients. Guangzhou is located at the Pearl River estuary on the Mawangdue map. Having always been brushed by sea winds, the people of Guangzhou never confined their steps to the land. Centuries before the formation of the Maritime Silk Road, Emperor Wu of Han sent an ocean fleet sailing into the Indian Ocean. From then on, this ancient trade route was a vital artery for the economy, a conduit for culture, a political bridge, and a channel for the spread of technology. Its influence endures to this day. Xianggangshan, once home to Xiangshan Xiaoga, one of Guangzhou's 8 sites in the Ming Dynasty, is now in downtown Guangzhou. On June 9, 1983, at a construction site here, workers pried open a row of sandstone slabs, unintentionally unveiling a long-forgotten history. Research confirmed this to be the tomb of Zhaomo, the second king of Nanyue.
Amid the fall of Qin, the Qin general Zhao To established the Nanyue kingdom, vying with the Central Plains powers, with Guangzhou as its capital. This kingdom expanded north to the Nanling Mountains and south to the Hainan Island. Later conquered by Emperor Wu of Han, it lasted less than a century, but it created the first brilliant civilization of South China.
From the tomb of King Zhaomo, a Persian-style silver box containing medicinal pills was unearthed, along with 5 African ivory pieces. The box differs markedly from Han artifacts in design, but closely resembles Persian artifacts, most likely arriving via maritime routes from the west. Sima Qian's records of the historian also describes Guangzhou's thriving overseas trade. It is written in the biographies of usurers chapter. Panyu is a tso for pearls, rhinoceros horn, tortoiseshell, fruits, and cloth. Panyu is the ancient name for Guangzhou, and tso signifies a gathering of goods, which implies it was a commercial hub. The Book of Han, treatise on geography, further records that among the 9 major commercial cities of the time, Guangzhou was the only one focused on the trade of foreign goods. All of this occurred during the prosperous reign of Emperor Wu of Han. Just as Zhang Qian's caravan departed Chang'an westward, braving the desert winds, into the heart of Central Asia, merchant ships from the Pearl River estuary were navigating across the ocean. Together, they conveyed the Chinese people's kindness and courtesy. Ships were essential tools for human exploration of distant lands. As early as the pre-Qin era, the people of Lingnan transformed tree trunks into exquisite canoes, using unique fire-shaping techniques. The development of shipbuilding technology tested the ingenuity of Lingnan people and gave Guangzhou an early advantage in the Maritime Silk Road. Over 2 millennia ago, Lingnan's advanced shipbuilding technology is shown by boat engravings on a bronze bucket at the Nanyue King Museum. The engravings show each vessel has 5 or 6 watertight compartments. Even if one took on water, the others stayed dry. At the stern, someone controls the sweep oar. As the oar swings, the pressure difference between the front and rear parts in contact with the water drives the ship forward. These two technologies are still in use on many large vessels today. These engravings confirm that, over 2,000 years ago, the Pearl River Basin already had the ability to build large ships, making long-distance ocean voyages possible. Through the course of history, as the overland Silk Road declined, the Maritime Silk Road began to flourish, becoming China's main gateway to the world.
From a business perspective, maritime transport has inherent advantages over overland routes. It offers larger carrying capacities, and navigation is more convenient. As for maritime ventures, once shipbuilding technology is mastered, we could conduct transportation on a large scale at quite low costs.
After the Sui and Tang dynasties, Guangzhou's shipbuilding remained at the forefront of the nation. According to the New Book of Tang, during the Tang dynasty, Guangzhou could build 500 ships at one time. By the Song dynasty, there were over 3,000 shipyards in the south. The Song text Pingzhou Ketan describes the ships departing from ports like Guangzhou. Ships are mostly dozens of zhang in both depth and width, loaded with pottery. The navigators mastered celestial and compass navigation for all weather conditions. Large merchant ships could carry over 1,000 people, store a year's worth of provisions, and even keep pigs and brew wine on board. During the Song dynasty, maritime technologies such as the compass, adjustable masts, and watertight compartments emerged. The number of merchant ships set world records. The Song fleet, with ships stretching for miles and masts towering, was a magnificent sight on the Maritime Silk Road.
Guangzhou was the leading port in the Tang dynasty. The trade influence and cultural exchanges it brought were profound. In the Song dynasty, the Maritime Trade Office was set up to provide safeguards for maritime trade. This was an early comprehensive model for international trade. Guangzhou's location, facing the Shijiang Channel and directly across from Humen, made it easy to sail out to sea. The unique geographic position of Guangzhou has given it a special mission to be shaped by the sea.
Gathering treasures from afar marked the prosperity of South China. With the opening of the Guangzhou maritime route, the Pearl River estuary became the busiest port in China, and Guangzhou became the top city for foreign trade and exchanges. According to the New Book of Tang, the westward route from Guangzhou crossed the Indian Ocean, reaching its coastal states, and the Persian Gulf, and even the Red Sea and East Africa. The eastward route led to Japan, the Ryukyu Islands, and Korea. When the monk Zhenjin traveled east to Japan, he passed through Guangzhou. After visiting the Tang dynasty, the Japanese Prince Shinyo returned by sea from Guangzhou. During the reign of Emperor Daizong of Tang, over 4,000 foreign ships annually arrived in Guangzhou, with foreign merchants numbering in the hundreds of thousands at times. Bustling markets and foreign voices filled the harbor in Guangzhou. While advances in shipbuilding and navigation promoted the growth of foreign trade, ancient voyages still carried great risks and dangers amid the ocean's unpredictable nature. Archaeologists estimate that, from the 1st century AD to the 20th century, over 2,000 shipwrecks lie between China's southeast coast and the South China Sea. Yangjiang, over 200 kilometers east of the Pearl River estuary, was a main shipping lane from Guangzhou to the Indian Ocean. The Nanyue No. 1 shipwreck, a Song ship recovered in 2007, is now housed in the Maritime Silk Road Museum, a structure resembling a crystal palace. It's over 22 meters long and 9 meters wide, with a displacement of about 828 tons, as a medium-sized vessel. Since its recovery, over 180,000 artifacts have been unearthed, including ceramics, metalware, bamboo, wood, and lacquerware. The discovery of official liquor from the Guangzhou Government Brewery and private liquor from Guangzhou workshops suggests this merchant ship had docked at Guangzhou and likely departed from a Guangzhou port. In 1998, the Belitung shipwreck was recovered off the coast of the Intan oil field north of Jakarta, Indonesia. Most of its ceramics originated from the Changsha Tongguan kiln of the Tang dynasty. These sunken ships, which fell like meteors, are intricately linked to Guangzhou, the Great Eastern Port. They narrate to people, 1,000 years later, the story of the thriving trade of the Guangzhou maritime route. The Nunling mountain range, stretching across 4 provinces, stands like a natural gateway. It marks the boundary between the Yangtze and Pearl rivers, and also blocks cold northern winds, forming a natural divide between the snowy north and the snowless south. The Lingqiu Canal was Qin Shi Huang's masterpiece in expanding into Lingnan. It cuts through the Nunling Mountains, allowing provisions and supplies to flow southward, enabling Qin's armies to conquer Lingnan. For over 2 millennia, the Lingqiu Canal has been a vital waterway for north-south exchanges. The Pearl River is a system of multiple tributaries. The Xijiang River connects the southwest, the Beijiang River the north, and the Dongjiang River links Guangdong and Jiangxi. Artificial waterways, like the Lingqiu Canal, have connected the Pearl River system with others, extending the Pearl River's navigation to the heart of the Central Plains. From all over the country, goods like porcelain and tea, from across the country, entered the Pearl River system and were brought to Guangzhou, supporting the export trade along the Guangzhou maritime route.
There were indeed several ancient roads connecting the Pearl River system with the Central Plains. The most famous include the Xiahe Ancient Road, the Mailing Ancient Road, the Shijing Ancient Road, and the Zangke Ancient Road. These ancient roads played a significant role in the exchange of goods and culture between Lingnan and the Central Plains.
The Yuling Mountains, The boundary between Guangdong and Jiangxi is a narrow mountain pass through which the Pearl River system enters the Gun River, connects with the Yangtze, and extends north via the Grand Canal. In the Qin and Han dynasties, the Dayuling Mountains have been a major north-south transportation route. And by the Tang dynasty, due to erosion and disrepair, it had deteriorated into a rugged mountain trail.
During the pre-Qin era, merchants traveled south, and the Qin army advanced into Guangdong. But it was not until Zhang Jiuling reopened this ancient pass in Nanyue that Guangzhou began to develop. Combined with the Pearl River Channel, opened earlier in the Qin dynasty, it allowed us to readily learn from the advanced cultures of the Central Plains and overseas, naturally absorbing and integrating them.
In the Kaiyuan era of the Tang dynasty, the Chancellor Zhang Jiuling, retired due to illness, petitioned Emperor Xuanzong to reopen the Dayuling Road. After 3 years of hard work, a postal road, smooth and straight, with 5 tracks and extending in all directions, was built through the rugged mountains. As the most convenient north-south artery of the time, the Hong Kong Maritime Museum preserves the porcelain production and transportation chart, which depicts such scenes. Jingdezhen porcelain, once painted, crossed Poyang Lake, traveled via the Gun River to Nanchang, was then carried by porters over the Dayuling Mountains into Guangdong, and sailed south to Guangzhou along the Beijiang River. The contribution of the ancient Dayuling Road is forever captured in this series of illustrations. Zhuji Lane in Guangdong, a small town at the southern end of the Dayuling Road, is lined with ancestral halls and old houses from over 180 families, welcoming people from around the world to trace their roots. After the Tang dynasty, with the reopening of the Dayuling Road, large numbers of people from the Central Plains migrated south to escape war and natural disasters. They crossed Meiling at the Guangdong-Jiangxi border and reached their first stop in Lingnan, Zhuji Lane. During the Song and Yuan, as migrants grew, Zhuji Lane filled up. They went southward along the Beijiang River, migrating into the Pearl River Delta, spreading across Guangdong, turning what was once a wild land into a prosperous region. The arrival of many exiled literati, such as Du Fu, Han Yu, and Liu Yuxi, further promoted the culture fusion of the Central Plains and Lingnan. Thus, Zhuji Lane earned the titles Cultural Crossroad of China and Root of the Cantonese people. The prosperity of the Dayuling Road lasted for over 1,200 years. With the 1936 launch of the Guangzhou-Hankou Railway and Guangdong-Jiangxi Highway, its significance faded. It once linked the Yangtze and Pearl River systems by land, and in a larger context, integrated the Maritime Silk Road with the Silk Road overland into a cohesive whole. For over 1,000 years, the Dayuling Road played a vital role in connecting the north and south of China. And along with its builder, Zhang Jiuling, it is forever inscribed in the annals of the Chinese nation. Nothing is softer than water. Yet it benefits all things without contention. Relying on canals, ancient roads, and the Pearl River system, the Guangzhou Maritime route exported goods stamped with Chinese culture, such as silk, porcelain, and tea, to all corners of the globe. adding the vibrant hue of foreign trade to a feudal society, based on a self-sustaining agrarian economy. Flourishes fade, yet a trace endures. In 1952, archaeologists excavated a large ancient kiln site by the Zhengbu River in Guangzhou. Stretching over 1 kilometer. It had 3 7-meter-high, porcelain waste mounds, involving over 40 types of products. Experts identified it as a Song kiln producing export porcelain.
The Shipbuilding kiln had notable features. Firstly, it produced a wide variety of products, covering many aspects of daily life. Secondly, it employed various decorative techniques, due to the influence of many foreign cultures. Lastly, Shipbuilding kiln pieces were rarely found in China, but were frequently discovered in Southeast Asia.
Porcelain is the earliest and most profound impression China left upon the world. And China's ceramic industry has long led the world. Since the Tang Dynasty, porcelain has entered the international market as a new commodity. Exported to Japan, and westward to India, Persia, and even Egypt. Porcelain is fragile and difficult to transport by land. After the late Tang Dynasty, large-scale porcelain exports mainly relied on maritime routes. This made Guangzhou a key production and distribution center for Chinese porcelain. Canton porcelain, a type of porcelain exported from Guangzhou, is said to have originated in the Qing dynasty when Emperor Kangxi sent 2 officials from Jingdezhen to Guangzhou, while waiting for official appointments in Guangzhou. To make a living, they started a porcelain factory, buying clay and pigments from Jingdezhen to establish a workshop. Thus began the production of Canton porcelain.
Why is Canton porcelain called European porcelain? It evolved in response to the requests of foreign customers during the Yongjing period, inspired by the tones used in copper enamel. As a result, Canton porcelain evolved into a style of vibrant colors and dazzling brilliance.
By the Yongjing period, the technique for Canton porcelain was highly refined, with vivid colors and lively paintings. It was popular among Europeans and Americans. The British Museum alone holds 1,717 pieces of Canton porcelain, accounting for 63% of major porcelain exports. Canton porcelain earned Guangzhou the name the kiln of the world. Xiangyunsha silk, a type of plant-dyed, hand-woven, and finished silk fabric from the Lingnan region. This fabric is cool and pleasant to wear, light, soft, and resistant to wrinkles, making it ideal for hot summers. During the Ming and Qing, it was exported to Europe, America, India, and Southeast Asia, earning the nickname Black Shining Pearl. Silk was another major commodity on the Guangzhou maritime route. Before the Sui dynasty, silk products exported from Guangzhou mostly came from the Central Plains and Sichuan. By the Tang dynasty, Guangdong sericulture achieved 5 harvests a year. In the Song dynasties, the Pearl River Delta was filled with the sound of looms in every household. By the Qin dynasty, the production of silk cocoons in the Pearl River Delta surpassed that of Sichuan, making it a key silk production base second only to the Jiangnan region, supplying abundant silk for the maritime Silk Road. Exquisite embroidery gives silk both life and soul. Cantonese embroidery dates back to the Tang dynasty. By the Mid-Ming dynasty, Cantonese embroidery began exporting overseas. In the 18th century, Cantonese embroidery captivated the English high society. Queen Elizabeth I established the English Embroidery Guild, and King Charles promoted Cantonese embroidery among the British Isles, making it a gift from China to the West. In Spain, around 1772, over 80,000 Cantonese embroidered shawls were sold each year, and became a staple accessory for flamenco dancers.
Cantonese embroidery features varied stitches and rich colors, with a balance of light and shadow. It uses various materials, like silk velvet, gold or silver thread, and bead embroidery. At its peak, Guangzhou had over 100,000 embroideresses and 3,000 male embroiderers, known as Hualao.
In the classic of tea, tea is called fine tree of the south. In the West, tea is regarded as the magical leaf of the East. With a diet heavy on meat, one can drink tea to aid digestion and reduce gastrointestinal issues. The growing demand in Western countries made tea a popular commodity along the Maritime Silk Road. China is a land brimming with the aroma of tea. On the south bank of the Pearl River, at Shiweitang, old warehouses built post-1950 still stand. Yellow walls, dark tiles, quietly dignified. Zhang Qian, a tea merchant from Guangdong, revitalized them as tea warehouses for dry storage of post-fermented teas like Liaobao tea and pu'er tea. Like the ancient people, she sells Chinese tea to Chinese communities in Singapore, Malaysia, etc.
Guangdong has a large overseas diaspora. Better a cup of tea from hometown than a ton of gold. Carry the taste of home to those far away. Comfort their nostalgia, and tell the story of Chinese tea culture. This is my mission.
Before the Opium War, Guangzhou's export tea mainly came from Fujian, Anhui, Jiangxi, and Zhejiang. The black tea from Fujian started at Mount Wuyi, the origin of the tea road, traveled all the way to Guangzhou, shipped from the 13 Hangs to Liverpool, England. Among the 13 Hangs, Wuyi tea marked with the Yuo Hong label was certified as the finest. Anhui green tea was sold to foreign merchants through Longji Tea Hong, established by Zhang Jianxuan. He was the first to introduce Anhui green tea to the world. As tea grew popular, the West sensed the business opportunity. In 1784, the first U.S. ship to China, the Empress of China, arrived in Guangzhou, and then returned to the U.S. filled with tea, including hundreds of tons of black and green tea. After the Empress of China arrived in New York, Captain Samuel Shaw's published voyage log caused a nationwide stir, with the ship's cargo selling out quickly. One particular teapot decorated with the Chinese dragon was even chosen to keep by President Washington. By then, the tea road from Xiamen village, Mount Wuyi, Fujian, handled by Shanxi merchants, already reached Russia. Another route, centered on lapsang sochon with its unique pine smoke aroma and longan flavor, passed through the busy port of Fuzhou, carrying the tea culture of the Pearl River Basin to distant shores. When the aroma of tea hits the nose, overseas travelers know it is the taste of home from 10,000 miles away. In 1668, the Dutch traveler Johann Nieuwhof, after traveling through much of China, wrote the book An Embassy from the East India Company. Among his many illustrations, we are able to travel through time to see Guangzhou from 370 years ago. The illustration's panoramic view of Guangzhou City is the earliest map of Guangzhou, drawn by a foreigner, discovered so far. He painted the Pearl River as a landscape and showed Guangzhou from above, highlighting Guangzhou's paramount importance as a center of international trade at the time. The vast maritime Silk Road was not only a stage for wealthy merchants. Ordinary people also participated in various ways. While making a living and supporting their families, they too contributed to the prosperity of the Silk Road. In the early 18th century, the shallowest point of the Pearl River's main channel was only about 5 meters deep. Large vessels could only reach the inner port of Huangpu from the open sea with the tide. At this time, many local pilots, familiar with the geography and currents, guide ships safely through the river's tides. Limata's ancestors were among the 4 major pilot families: Li, Deng, Huang, and Zhang.
Our family produced 27 pilots. They frequently sailed between Macau, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou. Their work was very tough, navigating the sea through storms and heavy waves. I loved listening to these stories from my grandparents and uncles when I was little.
Apart from pilots, the Pearl River estuary was also home to compradors and stewards, who long served Western merchants, handling communication, procurement, and daily coordination. Artisans and craftsmen engaged in ceramics and painting, chefs catering to foreign factories, and vendors and middlemen supplying goods and participating in trade with foreigners. With their excellent cross-cultural adaptability, they were the first ordinary Chinese to engage with foreigners during the Canton system era. With the ebb and flow of the Pearl River's tides, the stories of these ordinary individuals remain as vivid and varied as shells left on the shore. The 2021 publication Encountering Huangdong, Little People and the Big World in the 18th and 19th Century Pearl River Estuary tells the legendary story of one such small figure, Huangdong, a steward. He long served British merchants in communication, procurement, and daily coordination. He later traveled to England with his employers, meeting important figures of British high society, even having his portrait painted by the famous artist Joshua Reynolds.
By 1781, Huang Dong had already been in Guangzhou. Who Wang at Zhang was we know not. Yet his treatment was so grand. So this quote nearly concludes my book. This who he was we know not can be seen as the most precise metaphor of the Chinese people at that time regarding such a steward.
After 1830, with the advent of steamships that had greater cargo capacity and shallower draft, foreign vessels could freely navigate the port of Huangpu. The pilots at the Pearl River estuary gradually faded from their historical role, returning to a life of drifting on the water. After the founding of New China, these boat dwellers came ashore to settle, integrating into new urban life. Today, as the rustic saltwater songs of boat dwellers echo, one can still faintly hear the creak of oars from the Guangzhou Maritime route. As if still seeing the masts and sails arriving through history. The free flow graces the cosmic round. The turning seasons inspire lives that cannot return. Today, at the starting point of the Guangzhou Maritime route, rises the world's largest fully automated, horizontally arranged terminal, Port of Nanyue. Together with the Port of Shenzhen and the Port of Hong Kong, they all rank among the world's top 10 ports. Amidst the sound of sirens, another giant vessel sails from the Pearl River estuary, carrying the spirit of the maritime Silk Road, peace and cooperation, openness and inclusiveness, mutual learning and mutual benefit. It plows the newest and fairest wake across the vast ocean,